What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for joining us here today as we are back once again, y'all, with our Tuffy Talk live show. And we are now under 2 months here away from NC State football being back, baby. And Greg just catching up on all of his Wolfpacker previews here, which are awesome for sure. If you're not already subscribed to the Wolfpacker magazine, it's a great read for sure, especially this time of the year.
I was reading that last week.
And it's free if you're a member of the Wolfpack Club.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So make sure to go do that. Again, I think it's only like $20 a month. And we've had Ben Broussard before. We will always say it that if you go to Ben Broussard and say, I will pay you $5 a month, then he will take it. He will not say no.
$10 a month is the lowest level.
Lowest level is $10 a month. Okay, even better.
Even better.
$120 a year, $10 a month. I mean,
one latte less.
One latte less, and you'll be signed up to the Wolfpacker magazine, which is great reading for sure. With that being said, again, thank you all so much for joining us. If you've been with us before, you know the drill. If you haven't been with us before, it's simple as just
welcome.
Yeah, first of all, welcome. But any questions, comments, thoughts that you have, put them right there in the chat box, and we will get to all of them here today. And we have a ton to get here to today. But as always, you got myself, Layton Smith, Greg DeLeg, and Michael Tracy here. Michael, you seem to be traveling, man, for work.
Yeah. I got the nice Winston-Salem background here. It's better than my background at home, honestly. We haven't finished that.
Okay.
Maybe you should just grab it and take it with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, it's something to think about. But anyway, though, so one of the biggest pieces of news, which I got to get to here today before we get to any kind of tweets of the week or anything like that, is I know myself, and it seems like from a lot of other people on social media, that a lot of people got their parking passes today for NC State football, which is, again, just another reminder of how close we truly are. There it is right there. Greg showing off his flat box.
Priority mail. Wow.
There they are right there, ready to go.
Can we take 30 seconds to talk about this real quick, though?
Go for it.
Remember the days you get the media guide? It was all nice and bounded. And then even like a couple years ago, they put them in a nice bounded for your tickets. Now they just send them to you now.
Cheat.
I really do. Like, see, of course, the paper tickets is a double-edged sword. On one side, it's so great to have, like, and just be able to see, especially like this year, that Notre Dame football game. Like, imagine holding a ticket to NC State versus Notre Dame football. But on the other side, it's nice to have the mobile because you don't, lose them, either have to worry about keeping up with them necessarily. So
I still have my rain-soaked Notre Dame one from the last time. It's like all mutilated, but it's a memory.
Yeah.
That's like, I was going to say those, paper tickets is now like collectibles. So, if you do get them, hang on to them.
Well, and I know, like, so for myself, my family and I, we bought tickets to Aerosmith once they were announced. Once they went on sale, we went and bought those. And luckily enough, they send like a memorabilia.
Oh, like a collective
thing now to kind of where you can kind of print out. I'm like, but it's not the same though. Like remember like back in the old days where you had like your little ticket stub and if it would say Aerosmith on it, like that'd be a whole lot cooler to keep track of than just a memorabilia to the ticket.
I know we got a lot to talk about real quick. If you do want paper tickets, NC State will still print you out tickets. It's like $5 or $10. So if you want a paper copy, but we digress. Let's get going.
Yeah, no, let's do that. But yeah, we got Steam Squad already in the chats. Thinking about the black uniforms. Don't worry, we'll talk about those new uniforms here today. So looking forward to it. And also too, reminding us that Notre Dame is going to be on ABC, a big game there. And also too, talking a little bit about Notre Dame here. Got to go ahead and show off a preview, which I kind of gave today of the video, picture of the new scoreboard getting put up. It is beautiful. It's coming along, but it's crazy to think about how far it has to go in the next 50 days basically to get it. Well, no, sorry, it's about 60 days, right? 60 days.
I think we're at 62 now. 62 I think we were at 54 yesterday for away and 9 days on top of that. So so we should be like 61, 62 now.
Yeah, I agreed. So, but what's kind of going on, if you haven't seen on Twitter, is that basically all the panels for the actual video screen itself is up and it is there. So you're seeing the full size of just the screen itself. But now what they're doing is they're actually putting the speakers in up top, which is awesome. So
and they probably still have to enclose the sides there, I would imagine, with the
Correct. So for those saying, well, it's not
Framing and
really that
stuff,
much bigger
yeah.
than what we had. It was like, well, no, like the size of what you're seeing now is what the size was of the entire scoreboard that we used to have. But this is just a video screen, much less anything that's going on around it.
Right.
So
the framework
a little bigger. Yeah.
Yep.
So
it's gonna be good.
Yeah. And Michael Taylor, yes, I still actually have. I went to Game 7 of 2006 Stanley Cup championships. I still have that ticket as well from that game. So shout out there. And glad to have Michelle back on the show as well. It's been a while, Michelle. Glad to have you back on here. Hope everybody's enjoying the July 4th holidays, by the way, too. Enjoying your summer vacations. But we are quickly counting that down. Not to rush it here, but it is.
No.
So. But with that being said, though, we do want to go ahead and get some of the sad news out of the way, which we learned last week, the unfortunate news of the passing of NC State football legend Dick Sheridan, who was 81 years old, passed away last week. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the entire Sheridan family, and you'll be dearly missed for sure, an all-time legend in the NC State family. And, it was great to see him 2 years ago when he was able to come back to Carter Finley. And what an honor for him to give us his College Hall of Fame placard to hang, I'm sure, at the NC State Hall of Fame in Reynolds Coliseum. So I'm sure it's found a home there somewhere. But, it will be it will be sad not having Coach Sheridan with us any longer. The guy that brought us so many things, brought us out of a dark age, and also too one that introduced to us the most famous logo, and in my biased opinion, the best logo in all of college football, the diamond logo. Man, it's so sick.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
he will beat us for sure.
Red or white? Which one do you like better?
I like the white. I think the red. I love the red diamond better. Okay. And part of that's too, and I'll say this a little bit too, but still from my old college, my old equipment, football equipment student days, I still have a couple of the decals from the Notre Dame 2016 game, which I'm definitely now going to cherish even more. So definitely hold on to those.
Real quick story about Coach Sheridan. I've been enjoying some of the stuff I've been reading on Facebook from former players and just kind of some of the tributes. And one of the cool stories that I saw, I couldn't tell you what year it was. I think they mentioned it, but basically the team had a vote to put the names of the players back on the back side of their jerseys. And they had, like, I guess the team council came up and presented it, had a nice presentation. And, the Coach Sheridan just basically said, guys, you've done a nice job here, a nice presentation. I like how you've come together as a team, but I run this ship and I say no name, and that's the vote that matters. So, he was very fair. Everything that I've read about his players just loved him, and just, like you said, he brought our program after the Bo Ryan years. We had a lot of coaches come in, not a lot, but several where we just couldn't find that solid footing, and he came in and instantaneously turned the program around to almost a perennial top 25, minus like 1 year.
Yeah, agreed. Michael, anything else to say about Coach before we move on here?
I mean, obviously that was before my time, but he, we still see his legacy reflected in the program.
100%. And Michelle points out that her aunt was actually Coach Sheridan's administrative assistant. So
that's
very cool there. Very cool.
Yeah.
So going to go ahead, and I'll be honest that most of our content this week is around tweets of the week, just to kind of help us through these conversation pieces here, as we're going to talk about the football side first and then move on to the baseball side here. So let's go ahead and pull up this transition here and jump on over some tweets of the week. Here we go. All right, so our first tweet of the week here is news last week about University of Rice wide receiver Bradley Rosner entered the transfer portal as a grad transfer who totaled 101 receptions for a little bit over 1,600 yards and 15 touchdowns during his time with the Owls. And I know that when this news popped out, that there was a lot of NC State media members that jumped all over saying, interesting. And, looking at his tape, he reminds me a lot of like a taller Hunter Renfrow. He's a guy that, has speed. He's a guy that can go up and get the ball. He's a guy that is consistent. And so to me, I wanted to bring this up because I actually was talking with somebody earlier who I could consider an NC State football, NC State / football guru. And I kind of asked his opinion on it, and I'm going to keep his name anonymous here, but he basically said that that this group may hit, but it is not a guarantee. It has potential, but with the transfer market the way it is, you no longer have to hope that it translates. So, and even Dakari Collins, for example, is a good amount of projection. There's not a lot of for sure there. So to me, and I kind of proposed it at the time, which is, I feel like with Doran that if he is unsure, if he is confident in what he has at a certain position, he's not afraid to go out and kind of, I guess, ensure himself a little bit here. And so to me, if I'm Doran, and again, to me, it's just that, because that's the biggest worry. I think that for all NC State fans, that's our biggest worry is the wide receiver positioning heading into next season.
Yeah. I think, the general discussion around it is important, but I think specifically for this guy, I don't see us. Well, I'm sure we would love to have him, but I don't see us in contention for him. He's from Texas. He went to a Texas school, and he entered the portal so late. I'm guessing he already had a landing spot. But yeah, your overall point about getting wide receiver help is definitely one of the highest concerns on the team.
Sure. Well, I mean, because too, I think that the other thing, even though I completely agree with you, is two things. First of all, this news came out middle of last week, and so if he did already have a spot in mind, then what's he waiting on? Just go ahead and announce and switch.
Yeah.
But also too, because I would say also too, to his point of that, I mean, NC State has a lot, of potential for him playing time. He has a proven quarterback of Brandon Armstrong. I'm sure he's seen what Coach Nye has done in his previous offenses. He's seen what our defense could do. Like, he sees that he could be a piece. He can see that he's going to be a piece to this team if he decides to come to NC State. Greg, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely production there. It's a group of 5 program, so there's always the competition question about that.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say about our current receiver core is that there is a lot of potential there. You've heard names like Julian Gray and Terrell Timmons, and I mean, there's a bunch. I'm not going to sit here and name them all.
Yeah.
That has had so much potential, right? And you want to think, is it the system that they were in previously, why they haven't shined? Was it the quarterback situation? Was it any multitude of things? So if to your guys' point earlier, if any of the coaching staff thought that they needed to go out and get help, they go out and get the help, right? And obviously they brought in Collins to address that. And maybe they just thought that they were just one piece away from, completing that room. Mm-hmm. I believe in it. I think, we've been hearing about these, kids that are 4-stars coming in. It's time for them now to step up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And again, to me, the biggest piece of reminder, which I have to give once again, which I will give this reminder every single time, is that once again, we know less than 5% of the information that is actually going on within the coaches' locker rooms, within practices, within meetings. We know mostly nothing. And so why I say that, and I'm not saying I'm saying all of us outside of the coaching staff and players, like, we don't know much. And why I say that is, once again, is that even though we may not feel very confident, maybe the coaching staff feels very confident. Maybe they have seen Keon Lindsay. Maybe they have seen Porter Rooks, these guys make drastic steps. Maybe they believe a lot more, because that's another thing too, is that we have a lot of guys, even too, like, again, Trent Penix, Chris Tootle. We have young guys like Kevin Concepcion, Javonte Vereen, who's been really impressive. So we have a lot of names of guys that can be impact players. So it's not like we are, hungry for impact players, but, Rosner is a guy that is proven that, if the coaching staff says, even though Collins might be a little bit more of a long-term project, if they want to bring in a guy who, they can, trust, in his production from day one, then Rosner can be that piece if needed. But if we do not pick him, to me, that's not a reason to panic. To me, that's Doran saying, I'm good. I'm happy. Let's see how this thing goes. So now I do want to kind of ask you about Steam Squad's question here. Do you guys think the season is going to be better than last year, or is it going to be harder to win games?
I think Steam needs to come back in about 2 or 3 weeks when we drop our preview.
Yes. Now I will spoiler alert here, and I'm going to go ahead and say, and honestly, I know Ken's is not here with us, but I'm gonna be a little hesitant about having her on.
Natty Champs, I'll do it for her. Natty Champs.
Yeah, I know. I'm like Ken's. Is it really worth bringing you on to say that you think we're going to go 12-0? Like, but
I love it.
But I will say, spoiler alert, that probably nobody between Greg, myself, Michael, and Macon are going to predict us to go 11-1 this year. More than likely. Yeah, I would put a lot of money on that's not going to happen. But I think for me, last year we went 8-4, and it was like a kind of it should have been better, thing. 8-4 was like should have been better. If you go 8-4 this year, that's a great year. 8-4 this year, that's a great year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, but now, do I think we could do better than 8-4? Absolutely. But to me, again, we'll talk more about it in the predictions, but just kind of answer your question. I would say it's kind of apples to oranges a little bit, just because of the expectations and also to the schedule as well.
Yeah. I would say there's
more quarterbacks last year.
That's true.
If we have to play 4 quarterbacks again this year,
we are not winning.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great point. I think there's definitely more question marks just because we're rolling a lot of new people at new positions, and so there's just not that expectation or that tape on them to where you can say one way or another definitively, this is how I feel about it.
Yeah, agreed.
More on the offensive side. The defensive side, I don't think we're going to see a drop off. It's the offensive and special teams that I have the questions on.
Agreed. Yeah. And Michelle, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call last year a meh year. I would just call it because again, there's a lot of really great things that you saw, obviously beating Wake Forest with the young MJ Morris was a great, upside. The comeback against VT was like, cool. That's great that we, can still find ways to win. That's great. And then the win against UNC with our 4th string quarterback and with like our 5th string nickelback. Like, we were so injury ridden. There was no reason we should have won that game, and we found a way to win. So
2 quick points. I think we're the only Power 5 team to win in one game with 4 different quarterbacks last year. And I think we are the only ACC team ever to win an ACC game with 4 different quarterbacks. I might need to be fact checked on that part, but that's pretty. That's again to go out and do that with guys that had limited reps all throughout the season, especially your last 2. So that's real quick. You had Jack Chambers that came in. It came in the summer. You had Ben Finley that was on scout team, and you had MJ Morris that was a true freshman that didn't show up until fall time too.
Agreed.
Yeah,
it's
Now,
impressive.
Now, Steam Squad brings up how we should have beaten Boston College, Syracuse. I would 100% agree. Boston College, Syracuse, we just 2 games before that lost Devin Leary.
Game before.
Should we have beaten Syracuse? Oh yeah, the game before. So should we have beaten Syracuse? I don't.
Had a better game plan.
Better game plan, maybe. I think we've been in it, but it was just Syracuse was clicking at that point. So all right. So now let's move on here to our next tweet of the week here. News about Trent Mitchell coming in, 3-star offensive tackle, has decided to run with the pack. Got to give a huge shout out to Coach 2J, as this is his first commit in the red and white, and I'm sure it will not be his last. To me, again, it's just kind of a clicking along here. I know that there's been, again, that's been the main focus for the last few weeks has been recruiting. I know, like for example, Terrell Anderson, is a guy that I think for me is a must get. I think that, there's a lot of talks about, Jonathan Paylor and Alex Taylor and those guys. But to me, I think that with where we are with Terrell Anderson, we feel very strong with him. And the fact that now he is a top 100 recruit in the country, number 12 wide receiver in the country per on 3. I mean, I feel like we got to land him, because we need more help at, wide receiver in future classes. And also, I think that Terrell Anderson will be kind of maybe kind of that first pebble, to, really help build our momentum down the hill as well. Greg, Michael, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I saw a nice tweet that showed the last 2 recruiting classes of offensive linemen, and I think just about all of them, but maybe one was over 300 pounds. So, that old, I'm from the 80s. I'm an 80s kid. So where's the beef? Resonates with me, and it's our offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will caveat real quick that Coach 2J's, this is his first high school commit. No, he did have a transfer come in with Jermilio.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah. No, appreciate that. Michael, anything to add to that?
No, just that I would love to have Anderson. I mean, I think you've been a favorite of his, top school of his.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's got the ratings that State needs to land some of those elite playmakers, especially at the skill positions. So, really hope he comes here.
Yeah, it's time to stop being the bridesmaid and time to be the bride, right? With some of these high profile recruits.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's time to land a big one and get the momentum and going. And I would be shocked. My bet right now is 100% that we get this guy. I feel very, very confident with it. And I know I've been reading on a couple others. I mean, it's not that we haven't tried. We've done it. We've done everything right per everything I've read to land him. But now he's got to make the decision and go. And I mean, and that decision could come any minute now. I mean, it could literally happen while this show is going on. So, but again. Yeah,
and that's one thing I was going to say. You hear some of these schools that were in contention kind of backing off the recruitment of said players. So that kind of starts to give you, kind of narrow down the landing spot, if you will. So I think that I think we're in good shape for Anderson from again, all things but we thought we were that kid from Kentucky, and then someone swoops in with a bag of money, or excuse me, NIL deals, and changes that. So you just don't know until. And even when these kids commit, I've enjoyed watching and following these recruitments, and so for me, it's like I don't even get super excited until they sign on National Signing Day, because anything can flip even at the last minute. So
agreed, absolutely. Do you think we should consider some hate on Devin Leary for leaving? No, I mean, again, that's old news here, but I mean,
not our style.
Yeah, no, exactly. Just I think between the confidence we had in MJ Morris and his development, and also too, I mean, again, I mean, it all goes back to gotta trust the guy in the head coaching office. I mean, seriously, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like just like I said earlier, we don't know what's going on. We don't know but at the end of the day, Doran has gotten us here to this point. He's made great decisions to get us here, to be in contention, to get us excited as we are about NC State football. And so we got to trust the decision that he makes, because at the end of the day, I mean, we can't change his decisions. So, all we can do is just trust him until it comes a point where we decide for him to move on, which, shocker here, is not going to happen anytime soon. So, no hate on Larry whatsoever. All good, and best of luck to him at Kentucky. So, all right. So now let's get on to the fun stuff here, as we got announcement of new unis, baby, here in his house. And first of all, I mean, the biggest thing, which is definitely a big change for me, is definitely getting rid of the claw marks. Like, to me, I feel like this is kind of like the iPhone a little bit, where phones just got bigger, and then it just got really small, and then it's getting bigger. And so to me, it's like, we went from last year with the black uniforms, how there was all of this, detail to it. There was this chrome, the shyness, these lines, like this brick, decal. And now they just said, forget that. We're going to go on the opposite side of the spectrum. We're going to go really, really basic, really, really clean. And, still with a few details, but just very, very just NC State focused. And which I like it. It's a nice change.
Yeah, and I think that's really anything with not just jerseys, but if we're talking just clothes in general, it's always kind of cyclical. It goes back and forth. But I like them. I didn't mind the old ones either, with the claw marks on the shoulders.
Oh yeah, no.
I thought that was something kind of unique to State. I don't think any other team had something like that. But yeah, these look good. I like the bell tower, little detail in the on the side,
on the collar
flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the watermark type
The watermark.
Whatever they're calling.
Correct. Yeah, on the side. Yeah, no, I didn't. I couldn't fit that into this this PowerPoint here. But yeah, no, the NC logo, the NC flag logo on the side is really cool.
And I'm sure there'll be some alternates too, at least maybe one or two, but they'll probably save those for the week of the game and release a video for those. And
yeah, well, and especially because again, keep in mind this is the first set of uniforms since we signed the new contract with Adidas.
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume that this is kind of part of the okay, we're back in again. So yeah, we're going to give you guys brand new home and away uniforms, and on top of it too, we're going to give you an alternate uni down the road as well. Now again, I mean, me being a former football equipment manager, I still have contacts, but I mean, I'm not even going to try because I mean, I guarantee they're probably not going to tell me anything. But the one thing which I will bet on is that there, especially since we didn't have a new alternate uniform last year, we will have a new one this year, especially because there's so many big home games too. Like imagine, if there's going to be a year to have an alternate uniform, it's going to be before one of these huge home games we have this season. Go ahead,
I think
Michael.
we'll have at least one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think we can have more than one, but I think we'll have one for sure. So, Greg, anything to add?
No, I was just thinking. I think last year was like the first year in a long time, minus the COVID year, that we didn't have an alternate uniform.
It was because the contract negotiations went so late. That's why it didn't happen.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Consider the black an alternate uniform too. So we.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
I guess. To me, that's part of the rotation, but I hear what you're saying.
Now, the one thing which I do want to ask, and it's funny, my wife kind of brought this up about how there's a lot of NC State alumni or fans that are always saying, "Why are we wearing black? We're the red and white from State."
Oh gosh, we're gonna go there.
So to me so to me, when my wife saw this, she was like, "Oh, well, this is what those fans were calling for. Perfect. Finally, just all red and white." So I mean, let us know in the comments if you think we should only be wearing red and white. I'm curious your thoughts here.
So that's an opinion usually held for someone over 40 years old.
Well,
I'll say it. I mean,
well, because the biggest thing which I'll say is, once again, the uniforms, the music, the environment it should be 80% for the players and the recruits.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is for us. Like at the end of the day, like the hype and everything about it is to get recruits excited. It's about to get the players hyped. It's about to get them loving the environment and winning football games. Like at the end of the day, I don't care what music. I don't care if they play Wagon Wheel until literally the album falls off of the CD player, as long as we're winning football games. Yeah, no, what's a CD player? But I don't care. As long as we're winning games.
I don't care if they come out in the original NC State colors of pink and blue. Like if we're winning games, I honestly do not care. Like let that for someone else to talk about. The one thing I will say about uniforms and all of that, and when you're not a traditional program like a Penn State, Alabama, there's only probably a handful of schools that don't do gimmicky uniforms, right? There's just a handful. The other part why you do that is to sell jerseys, to sell merch, right? Which raises funds for your university. That's the reason why you come up with all these alternate logos and uniforms and so on and so forth. It's to sell gear. I mean, that's what it's about. It's recruits and selling gear. That's the two reasons why they do it.
Yeah. Now, Greg, there's a lot of people in the comments, making it clear that there are some people over 40 that do like black uniforms, right?
Okay. I guarantee you, exactly right, Michelle. You're the outliers. I cannot tell you how many times I'm on different NC State Facebook groups, and it's people over 40 that complain about the uniforms. Like it never fails.
Yeah.
Like I can go to a straw poll.
But again, not everybody over 40.
Not everybody.
But if there's somebody complaining, it's typically more of the kind of the old school traditional fans. But again, that's just going by numbers. Yeah, no. But again, so Cameron, love that you love the uniforms.
I love
appreciate that.
Yes.
Michelle's mom, we appreciate that you love black uniforms.
Absolutely.
Again, hey.
I'm not saying everyone over 40, but I'm telling you, if you're going to have a negative opinion on the uniform,
complaining about it,
correct, they are going to be typically over 40. I promise you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Michelle. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Winston, Cameron. Y'all are awesome. So So with that being said, let's jump on over here.
I'm not scared to take the negative approach. I'll be the hated guy on the podcast. That's fine.
So now moving on to one of my tweets of the week that I pulled out, and this was put together, and I'm ashamed I should
Drew Johnson.
Drew Johnson, yes,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
I was like, dang, I should have clipped this out, guys.
Yeah.
I got to give a shout out to Drew Johnson for putting this together. But this is basically, for those listening in, basically an Excel sheet of all the uniform combinations that we've worn since 2013, so since Dorian got here, and basically what our record has been. Yeah, and what our record has been in each of those combinations during those years. And first of all, I mean, there's a few things that stand out, such as, I mean, like the white, red, white, we've worn 30 times, which, I mean, makes sense because we wear it pretty much in all of our home openers, as he's lists there. And we'll wear it from time to time during the season as well, which makes sense. We're 22-8 in it, so that's great.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing which stood out to me, because the biggest, the most common theme that, most 99% of fans have said, please bring this back, is please bring back the all red uniforms. And I've said this before, on different shows, but as you see here, we are 0-5 in all red uniforms.
Trash them.
Yeah, go
ahead.
Two-Man Pack podcast. I just saw that. Shout out to them before we got on here. They pointed out the white, red road uniforms. We were also 0-5 in until we wore them in the opener against TCU and won that. So maybe it'll break the streak there.
Strategy there in the selection of uniforms. I like it.
So
maybe again, I think, because again, Dorn says that the players make the decision. I'm like, I mean, unless things have changed, Dorn has a pretty big impact of
I think he's got veto power.
He's definitely got ultimate veto power. There is no overriding the veto like in Congress.
Well, because this isn't even inside information, but if you go back to the You Don't Know Jack, where the Jack Tocho show or whatever, when they had Country on, he said, when Tocho was like, so why can't we wear the black with the red helmet and the white pants? And Country, and I quote, says, well, if you go right down this hallway right here, there's a guy named Dave Dorn there, and you can go talk to him about it, because he just tells me what we're going to wear. So he said it publicly. So I'm that's not insider information. Yeah. But anyway, so Parker Varney says ECU game was closer than we should have liked, though, 100%. Then I think that's the point, is that it was just kind of like, okay, maybe this was kind of a breakthrough, for it. But
the jerseys tried to get us to lose, but we overcame the jersey curse.
Yeah,
right. And and Michelle says any forms that have not led to wins should be destroyed, not brought back. Well, then we're gonna be wearing practice jerseys then. So yeah. So again, and we should be used to a lot more. Yeah, no, completely agree. But anyway, though, so go ahead.
All black, we're 6-2, and
all
black.
See? I mean, listen, hey,
people shut up. We're 6-2.
I mean, and that's another thing, though, which I know about Dorn, is that if we are winning, wearing something specific, he will wear that thing until we lose. Yeah. Simple as that.
Till the threads fall apart.
Pretty much. Yeah, no. So it's and it's kind of funny too, because I still remember back in 2014 when we had the original black unis, that the helmet was not a paint job, it was literally a decal. So I remember Country when they came out with it and they were interviewing him about the uniform, he was saying that you can only wear that helmet like 1 or 2 times before basically the helmet is useless, just because the decal is taken apart and then it's destroyed. So to me, I still laugh about it to this day. Like, man, like what if he just wore that black uni and said, I don't care if there's literally it's literally just has a little piece of that decal left over. We are wearing it until we lose. Like, I still think about that. But anyway, though, so nope, not that one. Not that one yet. Got to give a shout out here to Pack of Wolves and Savage Wolves putting together an awesome event here coming up here just over a week here from today, Wednesday, July 19th. They are putting together a NC State football celebration where they have a live auction, music event benefiting both NC State football and NIL collectives. Scotty McCreary is going to be there. Philip Rivers is going to be there. And it was just announced as well, Chris Verneck has confirmed that Torrey Holt's going to be there as well. And I know Jericho Cotchery is going to be there. As you can see, Greg is killing himself. So, like,
I got to
who
go
else-
to work next week in Georgia. So
but that is taking place at the Northridge Country Club, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. So make sure to go and check it out. Again, all the money is going to go to a great, benefit again towards benefiting our NIL collectives. And I mean, again, when's the last time has Philip Rivers ever been to an NC State public event before?
it's been a while.
It's been a long
Yeah,
time. I can't even think of one. So
I mean, he only comes back. I mean, you just remember he just retired a year and a half ago anyway.
That's
So
true.
he's having NFL obligations. But
sure.
also something I saw some of the players are dropping some tweets. They're gonna have raffle tickets that you can buy for $20,
Mhm.
and there's a bunch of experiences out there. You can go through Twitter and find a bunch of that. I'm sure you could just
so
Google
that's
something.
That's separate too. You don't have to be
Correct.
at or at the event either.
Correct.
That's just something you can do from home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you for the clarification. But there's all kinds of good experiences there.
Well, just to kind of list some of them too, because I know Michael, you were putting a tweet out there saying, I'm winning one of these. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So which one do you have your eye on, Michael?
I mean, one of those the game day experiences. I mean, there's like 5, I think.
Yeah.
Where they've got tickets to a couple pregame, get on the field pregame. So
film session with Tony Gibson.
Cool.
Yeah, they're all really cool.
Lunch with the quarterbacks, I think, is one of them. So
and Peyton Wilson and Tom Lavolsi. Wow.
Yeah. A couple years ago, I won an auction. Like, I felt like I stole the auction. I got 4 tickets on the 50 pregame field pass, and part of that was we got to stand in the tunnel as the players ran out onto the field. And in a parking pass that was legit. Oh, it was the best day of my life. Like, it was my dad's birthday. I gave it to my dad as a birthday gift, and it was the best. So I highly encourage anyone that has the means, go put $20 to an auction, or excuse me, a raffle ticket, and best of luck to you. But you're losing because I'm winning them all.
Well, you can only win one per contestant, so you're not.
Well, that's fine. I'm gonna get my daughter, my wife. I'm gonna put them in their names.
And you got Michelle saying, why can't I not live closer? Well, Michelle, I'm sure there will be more in the future for sure. I mean, again, there's no doubt that between the Pack of Wolves and the Savage Wolves, what they're doing gets like that. That's why I'm saying once again, for all those saying, well, I don't really like you. Like, I remember last week you did the poll of like, do you like where NIL has taken college football? Well, this is definitely one of the positives. There's been a ton of events to give you so much access to current players, to coaches, to former players. It's been really awesome from that perspective. So,
and this is exactly what I was hitting on last week when we talked about it. Just NC State getting and finding creative ways to kind of just stack some cash in the old savings account there for NIL. So hats off to everyone that's involved in that, and just trying to find ways to kind of outmaneuver some of these bigger programs that you may not, traditionally be competing with.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I'm glad they're doing that because, they obviously will take any donation just randomly from anybody. But, when you put on events like this and raffles like that, I think more people are willing to donate because the fan, you get something out of that by an experience or, sign.
And it really doesn't cost the university anything to do it, right? The NIL is not having to put a lot of money back into the, whatever they're giving away, right? So
absolutely. So yeah, and also too, got to give a shout here to Cameron real quick. Cam Make It, but I did contribute to Pack of Wolves again today. That event will be awesome. Thank you so much, Cameron, for donating and being a part of it. And again, for people, sometimes ask me like, Pack of Wolves, Savage Wolves, like, what's the difference? Which one should I donate to? The two things which I would say is that we have interviews on our channel between Pack of Wolves and also to a Savage Wolves. So I would say check both those out. And if you feel called to donate to one versus the other, then feel free, or, just go together. There's no wrong answer. Yeah, it all benefits.
Yeah, the one thing I would say, if you have particular favorite players, maybe that's what will drive you to donating to the particular NIL.
Yeah.
There's no longer a tax break involved. I know the Pack of Wolves was trying to give you a tax break, but the lovely, I think it was the Supreme Court, knocked that down. So really, there's no difference into who you're donating to. It all goes back to players. So my suggestion would be to find a favorite player that you can latch onto and just donate. And the money will probably get to that individual.
And to this question from Steam Squad, do you know if they're going to do any more stuff like that at the Brick House? 100%.
Yeah, there'll be stuff like that coming out.
So,
yeah.
All right.
Now, the one thing I will say is in past events, they've been free. You might start seeing a nominal charge to start attending some of these things. But I think they're just trying to get the word out still a little bit, so that they haven't been charging to them. But I would be willing to bet at some point you're going to be seeing some kind of fee to attend those events. Which
again is to your benefit, because again, I mean, it could just because again, so that way it's just not a freaking zoo, to try and get autographs from your favorite players. So, but anyways, let's move on here to some baseball here, baby. As we had two draftees yesterday and today. The first one, got to give a shout to Blue James Gino Groover, again drafted in the second round with the 48th pick to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Was awesome to see him go that early. Could not be more excited and happy for him. And then the other piece of news was go ahead, Michael.
On Gino, I think that that was a little earlier than he was projected. So
yeah, for sure.
But I mean that 10 to 15 spots can make a big difference in the amount of money that he signs for. So
yeah, especially for anyone that doesn't know, a lot like the other leagues, they have slotted money, but the difference in baseball is you can go above or below that number because the teams are given a pool of money. So however they decide to, it's like getting your allowance. It don't matter how you spend it, but once it's gone, it's gone. So
yeah, right. Well, and I think I saw, because basically each spot has a value of how much typically that spot would generate in terms of from a contract perspective. And I think that for Gino, for 48, it was like 1.75 million, I think was the value.
Yeah. But again, he could get up to 2 million. I mean, there's nothing that precludes it. Again, it just depends on how the D-backs want to spend their money.
Correct. Exactly. So, and then the other piece of news was Landon, say his last name for me, Greg, Morales. Yeah.
I would say Morales.
Yep. Right-handed pitcher from Florida, NC State, Pac-9 commit, got drafted in the 4th round, 121 pick to the Toronto Blue Jays. And for me, I would say it's more than likely he's going to go. I mean, typically it's almost, it's very unusual if a player, a high schooler, gets drafted in the first 5 rounds and decides to forego MLB and go to college. It's very odd. But I mean, it could happen, but it would be a long shot. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. So a couple things here. His value is around $575,000, give or take, again, depending on how they spend their money. Now, you remember that $575,000 is he's not going to get all of that, right? With agents and taxes and all of that. So it's not saying that it's a done deal. I would probably put it about 75-80% that he probably will go to the draft. Again, it just depends on what he values. If he thinks he could go gamble on himself and, work him way into a top 1st, 2nd round draft pick. Does he want to go to school? Does he value a degree? His training, just depends. There's so many different factors and it's not even worth getting into the what ifs.
Well, because again, another kind of positive NIL thing is is that now for Landon, you could say, well, you can come to state, make a good, make $50,000, make some pocket change, and on top of it, try and build on your, drafts, stock, and also too, try and compete, with some of the best teams in the country that the ACC has to offer. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, and I was just going to say along those number lines you were talking about, first 5 rounds. I mean, I think I saw even in the first 10 rounds last year, out of everyone that got drafted, only 3 or 4 players didn't sign. So it's a very, very small percentage if you get drafted that high, especially for a high school guy.
Yeah. Well, and because again, I understand part of it too, which is the fact that even if you, let's say, you said the value is at 575,
Yeah,
even if you get 200,000, I mean, that's a lot of money for an 18-year-old. And to say you can go play and just focus on playing baseball.
Right. You don't have to go to school. And
go to
when I said
school.
50,000, that's probably not realistic for baseball. I probably should have lowered that number. But you're right. Yeah, and he'll get first rate. Not to say that he won't get good instruction at NC State, but he's got professional instructors. You get nutrition. You have everything. So
correct, 100%.
And you don't have to go to school.
Exactly.
That can be a big thing for a lot of kids.
Oh, and by the way, I think MLB sets it up to where if you go, I think they put some of that money away for like college. Like I think there's like some stipulations in there.
Well, that's good. I like to hear that.
Interesting.
Now, the other piece of news, which happened about an hour and a half ago, was the announcement by Alex Sosa didn't get drafted today. He just tweeted all in at NC State baseball. And so I would assume by that is him saying that I don't care when, because up until today, he has not gotten drafted yet.
Correct.
So now will he get drafted? Probably he'll get drafted, but basically I think he's just saying that if I haven't got drafted by this point, then I'm not interested, so which is great news.
And that goes to Michael's point just a minute ago, because we had the first 10 rounds are done as of today. So
right. And I mean, and he's been fairly blunt saying I'm only going to leave if I get like a 7-figure value, which I mean at this point he's getting 400,000 maybe value if he get drafted tomorrow.
Yeah.
So definitely not that. And also too, because again, another thing which I have to remind you, Alex Sosa literally committed at the beginning of August in 2020. He literally committed to NC State 3 years ago. Like he's been a long time NC State commit.
It's a baby T.
Baseball. And to me, for Alex Sosa, it's a perfect situation. You get to come in and be, underneath, a very experienced catcher in Cozart. Learn from him. Get some playing time. Maybe DH some, and then your second year, it's your job. Like there's no question about it. It's your job.
Yeah.
He can also play second and third, so there's potential there. He could get some looks at depending on again how everything shakes out.
Sure.
Right.
So
because we're looking for second and third baseman right now.
Yeah.
Those are uncertain positions.
Exactly. So again, we'll see. What happens. But that of the negative news that we talked about, obviously with losing Gino, and then more likely losing Morales to get a guy in Alex Sosa, who is one of the top young amateur catchers in the country, and to get to come to NC State, that's awesome news, especially with the news of us losing Cannon Peebles. So
I was getting ready to say the same exact thing. So softens the blow a little bit.
Yeah.
But then another big piece of news, which happened over the last week as well, was the announcement of NC State landing a transfer pitcher from Tennessee, Hollis Fanning, 6'8" right-hand pitcher, 1.29 ERA last season with 24 strikeouts, and is yet to allow a run in small ball through 2 starts. I mean, and also too, he's blind in his left eye. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So
I think he had another. I think he pitched again either last night or the night before after this tweet, and he got another win, and maybe
did he give up a run though?
I don't think so. If he did, it was very low because his ERA was like under. I think it said his ERA was for the summer was still under 1. So he's having a good summer. So I don't know if if he comes in as a starter next year or they use him out of the bullpen. I don't know.
Yeah, he's been mostly a bullpen guy.
Yeah, in Tennessee.
But again, a lot of things will start shaking out over the next 48 hours.
Right.
Two comments. One, he's got a great name for a pitcher in Fanning, right? So he fans another one. So bad jokes. And I got a cool text from Mark Scott yesterday. I want to just share this real quick. NC State is going to win the Final Four of men's basketball team. You have 2 guys at 6'8". So this guy right here, Garrett Payne, 6'8", playing either center or power forward. You got PJ Labriola at 6'7", Morala at 6'7". So that you got some power forwards. Yeah. You got Serrano at 6'5" as the shooting guard. And you got his son, Win Scott, 6'2". He's the point guard. So we got some tall boys. So
I love it. I love it.
The equipment managers are going to have a heck of a time finding pants for all those guys.
So that answers your question there, Michelle. So Fanning will be tied for the tallest guy on the state baseball field with Garrett Payne. Now Parker Vanny asked the question: are Willits and Highfield coming back?
So they can technically come back. They do have eligibility. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Technically, so does our other Baker Nelson. Baker Nelson technically does.
That one I'm not so sure about. I've seen both. Now, without giving too much away, I don't want to say which one is which, but one probably will be back, the other won't. And I'll let you guys talk about that. I don't want to.
Well, and I don't know any kind of insider information.
Yeah.
But I would say, again, this is my bet.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, Highfield is the guy that I feel like that, you know, if he does come back, it's just like, you know, it's just kind of, it'd be tough to come back. Because I think for him, it's kind of like a decision of, you know, should I go ahead and just go ahead and make my money while I can? Because it's obvious that he's been dealing with injuries. Mm-hmm. It's obvious he has not, you know, come back to full form like he was his freshman year at Omaha. Mm-hmm. So I would guess a Highfield be guy that would go and, you know, try to take advantage of get money while he can. Mm-hmm. While Willitson, it's like, you know, I think that he could still improve off of what he's already done. Michael, mm-hmm. Any guesses there to that? Thoughts to that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say Willitson is more likely than Highfield to come back, but I wouldn't be surprised to see both of them back.
Yeah. We'll see.
My guess is Highfield gets drafted, Willitson doesn't, and so that you can make whatever inferences you want to make from that.
Right?
Yeah. So now moving on here to another big piece of news. Got to give a quick shout out real quick to Dominic Friend, who got now to his fourth freshman first team All-American. So again, it's exciting. I mean, we're talking about pitching here between Fanning and possibly having Willitson and Highfield or Highfield back. Well, now you're having, you know, Dom Fritton as well coming back for next season. Like, I mean, we got to keep building on this for sure. Got to keep building, but, you know, got to shake the trees a little bit more. But it's exciting to hear about some of the names, which will be included in next year's team.
Yeah, real quick. My assumption is he moves back into the starting rotation, and then you fill some stuff out on the back end. So
he better be in the starting lineup, dude. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. All right. So now moving on now to some basketball, baby. Got to give you huge shout outs. We have two NC State Pac pros who are absolutely killing it so far, making a lot of noise in the summer league between Darian Sebron and Big T. Not saying, first of all, that Jarkel Joyner is not doing well, but just he has not made as much national impact as Sebron and Big T has. And it's funny because I think I saw a tweet that said this, and I did not get this confirmation, but did Philadelphia have a draft? Did they have a draft pick to use this past year?
I don't think so.
It didn't sound like it.
And I didn't think so either, because it sounded like to me that basically from all that I was reading that the Sixers had their eyes on T the whole time, but just assuming that that's correct, they didn't have a draft pick to use, then they just couldn't even go get him. So, I mean, from all I've heard, the Sixers were thrilled to get Big T. So
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because, I mean, like, the announcement that he signed with the Sixers came like 30 minutes after the draft was over. So,
and especially, you know, with the news that James Harden, you know, is more likely not coming back to the Sixers, so they're going to lose that 3-point, you know, guy there. I mean, Big T has been the guy shooting threes for the Sixers summer league team. And I mean, he's been shooting it well, and he's been going to the basket, making plays. He's been getting boards, throwing the ball around. So I think it's a total easy assumption that he's going to, you know, have a good shot at making the roster.
So playing right now.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to say, Greg?
Well, I was actually looking at this photo. He just looks thicker.
He does.
You know, again, I don't know. He just didn't look that big last year. Right. So maybe he's put on some bulk. Yeah. And then to answer your other question, Philadelphia did not have a draft pick.
Perfect. Right. Yeah. So that proves the point right there. 100%. Now I got to give a shout as well to Darian Sebron as well, man. 25 points, 8 of 11 from the field, 7 rebounds and 3 assists in his game yesterday. I mean, man, I think he flirted with being on the Pelicans roster some last season, and I think is it finally time to give him a permanent spot on for this next season? Maybe.
I think he's going to get a long look. That's for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So the Sixers are playing again tonight. It's halftime. Terquavion is 5 of 10, 3 of 6 from 3 with 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist in the first half. So
I mean, again, just go ahead and
go
ahead,
just run it. He's on the roster. Ain't no way.
I think.
You got to see him against real NBA. I mean, not to say this is not NBA talent, so don't make that sound negative. But the majority of these guys, you're probably only going to have 5% of the summer league make rosters. It's a lot of guys. So he's taking advantage of his opportunity now. He needs to continue to build on that.
At the same time, we were just talking about Sixers didn't have a draft pick, so it's not like they've picked anybody higher than him. He's technically like their highest pickup this offseason. So.
Yep. No, that's a fair point too. So
and again, just like just think about how many 3-pointers James Harden shot last year, and I mean, and so
wait, hold on, he just shot another one.
And so again, I mean, you're looking at Big T, and he's literally the only guy who shoots like double-digit 3-point attempts every single night, and you're saying, like, it can't be this obvious, right? It can't be this obvious. So again, we'll see if nothing's there, but again, in my opinion, I think Big T is a perfect fit for Philly, and I think it, just like Michael said, it makes sense for him to go, and I think Sebron, it's time. Put him on. He's a ball player, ladies and gentlemen. He is a ball player.
One last thing about T. He's always been a type of player that he's kind of like had the chips, I won't say stacked against him, but he's always been the one that's been considered the other guy, right? Like he's always been the afterthought, and he's always had that chip on his shoulder. So he's out to prove the quote unquote haters wrong. So I think, he'll do what he wants to do, and I have no doubt that he has the ability to make a roster.
Agreed. Yep. So again, we'll see what happens with it. Fingers crossed. And again, especially with Jarkel, hopefully we hear more about him here soon as well.
I think Jarkel's only played in like 2 or 3 games. Like I don't think he's played in as many as the Sixers.
I agree. Yep. So now moving on to our next big piece of news, which is Wednesday night, I believe, July 12th. Yep. ESPN will debut its documentary about Jimmy V's iconic ESPY speech during ESPY's week, which if you want to get a little bit of a teaser, there's like a 5-minute teaser out there right now, which I've watched, and it's going to be funny. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be touching, but I think it's going to be funny. Like from what I've seen already about how the guy was in the back, and how all the ESPN people in the back said that when Jimmy V called out the red light flashing at him, how it made the entire room just burst out laughing, and I'm like, oh, I love that. That's great. Even the people in the back who typically are like, hey, we're on a schedule here, even they were like, that Jimmy V, what a character, what an awesome response. I love it. So I'm excited to see it. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be fun.
Real quick, it'll be on ESPN Sports Center, and then if you don't catch it there, it'll be immediately available on ESPN Plus. So,
and it's only 1 hour too, so it's not a long documentary. So
but I'm excited to watch it. I think Jimmy V was just so charismatic that even in his dying days, he never lost sight of being the entertainer, right? The showman, if you will. That $1 million speech. If anyone. We've referenced it before, but that $1 million speech, if you go to YouTube and Google that on YouTube, it's the greatest. I mean, if he never had become a coach, he could have probably been a stand-up comedian, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I mean, there's no doubt. Whether you're a State fan or UNC fan or just a human, if you're a breathing human being, you should watch that speech. It is motivational. It is inspiring. It is fun, it is entertaining, it is everything.
And if you don't cry, you don't have a soul.
I mean, seriously, it's awesome. I still watch it ever so often, just because it's
motivating. I mean, it's just a motivating, and that's what he did, right? And I think that's the essence of how he willed a team in 1983 to a championship, right? Like he literally told them they're going to win a national championship, not just tell them. They went through the motions of winning a championship in practice.
Cutting down the nets.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's insane. I mean,
Yep.
but again, the ultimate motivator. He could have been a horrible X's and O's coach, but he'd have been a great motivational speaker.
Yeah.
I mean, still one of my favorite quotes these days I always love to use is when he said that Ralph Waldo Emerson said to a graduating class at Harvard that nothing great has ever been achieved without enthusiasm. I love that quote. So, Michael, go ahead.
Well, I was just going back to like saying that, there's a thin line between genius and crazy, and it's sometimes blurred there. And
I think you need a little bit of both, right?
Sure.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And so again, make sure Wednesday night, July 12th on ESPN Sports Center. Make sure to check it out. It's gonna be a great one. And Michelle says all about it here. Easy enough, saying that was one of the best speeches ever given. Could not agree more.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's referenced. I mean, it's even for non-sports people. It's like I feel like it's one of those speeches. If you're not a sports fan, you've probably still heard of that speech.
Well, and the funny thing,
heard of Jim Valvano
for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And see, that's one of the things which I feel like to me makes me so proud to be a State fan is between Jimmy V and Kay Yao, you have two of the most amazing people on planet that have ever been on planet Earth, but also two people that are universally known, for what not only what they did on the court, but also to what they did off the court and the impact they've made beyond their life, with the Kay Yao Foundation, the Jimmy V Foundation, It makes you so proud again to wear the NC State colors, man, knowing that both these people loved NC State and fought for NC State and brought a lot to NC State on the court and off the court as well.
Yep. A lot of positive attention.
100%. So, and two people that are definitely very missed for sure. Deeply missed. No doubt about it. And also do one other last thing, which I want to point out too, which is kind of funny is that, for those that watch, that have watched the $1 Million Roundtable, Jimmy V has talked about, his first speech, to his first Rutgers team, and the famous, what was it? The famous Green Bay Packers coach, Vince Lombardi story, and it hit me the first time I watched the SB speech that he never talked about in the $1 Million Table about how apparently he tried to open the doors, but they were locked and they didn't open. And I was like, oh, well, that has a whole nother piece to it, which is funny as well. So, again, it's awesome story. So again, make sure July 12th, Jimmy V, looking forward to it. It should be fun.
Yep.
Now, next one and our last tweet of the week here, which we'll spend a couple minutes on here to kind of wrap up this show here, is talking about the GOAT herself. Katelyn Tuohy, ladies and gentlemen, ACC Female Athlete of the Year for 2022/2023. And that graphic on the right, I put together to me,
it's good. I like it.
It's a real picture, right? It's not a graphic.
Yeah, it's a goat looking in a mirror and seeing a reflection of Katelyn Tuohy. I mean, I completely, I think that's 100% a real thing. And I mean, to me, I think a lot of people, when I put out the tweet saying that, to me, it's without a doubt, Katelyn Tuohy is the best student athlete to ever put on the NC State uniform ever, period, no matter what sport. That the first person that people say is, well, David Thompson. And I would agree. I mean, there's definitely a conversation for it. No doubt about it. David Thompson's in that conversation easily. No question about it. Yeah. But I think the biggest thing, which I would say back to it, is I think that if track had the publicity, had the focus and the attention that basketball does, and the money that basketball does, like Katelyn Tuohy would be talked about as like kind of like a Heisman Trophy, like a two-time Heisman Trophy winner, basically. Yeah. And there's only been one person in the history of football that's won the Heisman Trophy twice. And Katelyn Tuohy is in that is kind of that equivalent in the track world. And because also too, another thing which I would add to as well is that we're not talking about a sport where there's only like 40 or 50 teams that compete in it. Like everybody has a track and field team.
Well, not everybody, but most.
But a lot of them. Well, you know what I mean, Greg.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it literally.
Sorry.
Anyway,
so sorry.
But because again, because it doesn't cost a lot of money to have. I mean, all you need is a track, and I mean, everybody, sorry, not everybody. 99% of universities out there have a track.
You need some shoes.
And you need some shoes. That's all you need. And Katelyn Tuohy, for the last 2.5 years, has been hands down the best women's athlete out there to do it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just to kind of talk about it here a little bit. So David Thompson, while he was at state, and because I think that another thing which kind of held him back too is the fact that David Thompson couldn't compete in the 73 for a national championship.
Right. And as a freshman, he wasn't eligible to play on the varsity school or squad.
And I think that if those two things happened, that David Thompson would still be easily, not even a question, the best. But I think that kind of holds him back. But still, a 3-time consensus first-team All-American, 3-time ACC Player of the Year, 3-time first-team All-ACC, 1974 national champion, and NCAA Final Four most outstanding player, and National College Player of the Year 1975. So, I mean, again, that's a heck of a resume. Just talking about what he did in college. Just talking about college.
Yep.
But now with Katelyn Tuohy, just kind of go over some of her, most, biggest achievements. 5,000 meter 2022 national champion, 5,000 meter 2023 national champion, 3,000 meter 2023 national champion, 6-kilometer cross country 2022 national champion, 1,500 meter indoor NCAA record holder, mile indoor NCAA record holder, 3,000 meter indoor NCAA record holder, 3,000 meter indoor under 20 record holder, and then 5,000 meter outdoor NCAA record holder. So, like to have 5 NCAA records in her name.
Yeah.
Like
that's pretty crazy.
And 3 track national championships and 1 outdoor national championship and 2 team national championships. Like that's the thing. It's just, man, like that, like they're both incredibly impressive, but to me, it's
there's also less, in basketball, there's not like individual competitions like there is in track. So it is a little different there, but I mean, like they're both, 1 and 2.
Yeah. I know you gave us an exercise to try to come up with someone better. And I literally went through because I was like, all right, well, how do you find someone better? And so the first place I went was the NC State Sports Hall of Fame, or NC State Hall of Fame, not North Carolina State of Hall of Fame. But and I literally clicked on every athlete on there because there's some coaches and contributors and so on and so forth. I came across 3, and 2 of them were track and field people, both cross country. So the one common denominator is NC State is established as a dominant powerhouse in cross country, especially on the female side of the house. So I came across, and I'm not going to bore you with all the stats. So if anyone out there wants to go check them out, it's definitely on gopack.com. But Betty Springs Geiger is one. Her accomplishments were insane. And then Julie Shea Sutton is the other cross country. Now, I'll give you 2 names that we've never talked about, but they're very fascinating and for different reasons. One, Stan Crockerton, the great Stan Crockerton. Does anyone know what sport Stan Crockerton played in, by the way? He played in lacrosse. We had a lacrosse team that was very good in the late 70s. And he was the career, he's from Canada. He was the career NCAA leader in points all time in points for 28 years until 2008.
Wow.
Again, and he led us to our only championship appearance in lacrosse. We didn't win, but we made an appearance. And then the last name I'll give you real quick is Dr. Steve. I'm going to screw this guy's name up. Rarchek, I guess. It's R-E.
We need Tim Peeler on here with us to help us out.
This is a Tim Peeler episode.
And he was a swimmer, and lots of personal accolades and some national stuff too. But those were the closest I could come to. And Katelyn Tuohy, with the exception of the 2 female cross country, she's the most dominant. It's hands down.
Yeah. Agreed. So, again, the biggest thing, which I would say, ladies and gentlemen, is, again, I still remind everybody once again about how last football season, when I did the NC State trivia, how nobody could tell me who Katelyn Tuohy was. And I challenge you once again, there should not be a single NC State fan out there that does not know who Katelyn Tuohy is and appreciates all that she's done for this university. And to me, like, I don't know how the voting system works for the Wolfpack Hall of Fame, but I mean, if there's such thing as first ballot, she should be first ballot. The moment she leaves campus, Hall of Fame. Just don't even blink. Like,
in some of these other athletes, their professional accolades were just as impressive as their collegiate. But if you're strictly collegiate, Katelyn Tuohy is 1, 2, or 3, and they're all with other female cross country winners, just from the team aspect and the personal aspect.
Agreed.
It's insane what these women have accomplished.
100%. So with that being said, we're going to wrap that up right there. But, the first thing which I'll say once again, y'all, is it's crazy. We're sitting at July 10th right now, and we are like 50 days away from NC State versus UConn here. And the other thing which I'll say as well is, definitely to strap on here is we're going to be recording 3 episodes this week. So, I mean, and then we still have plenty of others that we have scheduled already, and some that are pretty big ones as well coming up here soon. One tomorrow, actually, which if you're not already a member of our Discord channel, make sure to go and do that. And that way you can get a little bit of insight into it. But we're going to be releasing a lot of content here between now and August 31st. So make sure, again, if you do not want to miss out on any of that content, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so that way you're notified for free. And if you haven't checked out an interview yet that we did last week with Coach Amanda Roger with our dance team, make sure to go check that out. That was definitely a fun one for sure. And then if you enjoyed this conversation, hit that like button and make sure to give us a follow. Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Michael, Greg, final thoughts, man. Wrap this thing up. Any last comments, thoughts?
I'm just excited with all the interviews we got, and we got state sports coming here real soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Michael?
It's been too long.
Yeah, I know.
It's only been like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I know it's the worst, but again, we're getting close though. We're getting back. Well, and because there's a lot of talk. I mean, like the Josh Pate show. Josh Pate show. Yeah. He's back talking college football, which is awesome to listen to. So it's getting fun, y'all. And again, camp starts at the beginning of August, so we're only 3 weeks away from the beginning of camp, which is awesome.
Media days are like in 2 weeks.
Yeah. And actually, you know what? Quick predictions. Who do you think is going to go represent NC State? And because typically, reminder, there's usually 3 players that will go.
So 3?
Last year
it was 3.
It's 2 or 3 depending on the year. But because last year, Drake Thomas, Isaiah Moore, and Devin Leary went.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
But yeah, predictions.
I feel like Peyton Wilson.
Yep, that's a given.
And maybe Trent Penix.
I feel like you have to have a quarterback, right?
I feel like Brennan. Should go.
I don't know,
but I mean, Peyton Wilson I think is a given for sure. And maybe a defensive lineman, maybe like a CJ Clark, maybe, just because how long they've been there, maybe. But Jordan Houston, maybe Jordan Houston.
Yeah, Jordan Houston, he could be. Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
But I think Peyton Wilson,
Shaheem Battle, one of the cornerbacks.
Maybe. I think Peyton Wilson's the only given, but I think the rest of them are like maybe, know. So, but I think Brandon Armstrong would be the most requested. If you had to ask me which of those athletes would people.
Yeah, media wants to talk to the quarterbacks. I mean, they're the face, right? Typically, whether they want to be or not.
A transfer from UVA, a guy that, a lot of questions about, he did a lot in 2021, didn't do much last year. So
knowing a Nye.
So Cameron kind of says that as well. And then Michelle asks, who's the most senior member that starts? I mean,
Peyton.
Peyton Wilson, which is crazy.
This is crazy. 6th year, right? This will be his 6th year.
I think so. Yeah, they're called doctors, but yeah.
And the only reason Michelle kind of talks about Aiden White that maybe not is just because he's still very young, believe it or not. I mean, he's still like a redshirt sophomore, if I'm not mistaken. So he's fairly young. But anyway, y'all, so we're going to wrap this thing up here. But Cameron, thank you all. Cameron, Michelle, Parker, Steam Squad, everybody who tuned in here with us. Thank you all so much for tuning in for this show. Really do appreciate it. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Again, make sure to support us, y'all. Really do appreciate it. Stay tuned as we have some fun ones here coming up, and we'll see y'all soon. Go Pack, y'all. We'll see y'all soon. Go Pack, baby.